So, complex rational expressions. It's basically a superfraction, a fraction within a fraction. We're basically, we've done two different methods. We've done two different methods. When we had expressions, what method did we use? Did we solve or simplify, first of all?
Simplified.
We simplified with expressions, we solve with equations. When we simplified, earlier in chapter 10, did we use fancy ones or did we just clear? Did we clear and then solve for x, right? I mean, which one did we use? Did we use the fancy one?
For expressions?
For expressions.
Yeah, we use a fancy one.
Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here, and it's kind of like a combination of both. So what would be the least common denominator? Yeah, 6. We're going to use 6. So I'm going to multiply everything. Now, we have to be careful because in PowerPoint, I can't line up the numerators, so that's why I'm writing more. And I'm just going to use a series of fancy ones. I'm going to multiply 6 over 6. But you will notice 6 over 6 really equals 1, so I'm not changing its value. Okay? I'm multiplying everything by 6, right? The number 6. If I'm doing that in the numerator and in the denominator, I just kind of write it everywhere there's a fraction. Everything's getting multiplied by 6 over 1. Any number over itself equals 1, so we're not changing its value. So I distribute, and what can I cross-cancel in the first fraction? Jonah?
6 and 3.
Okay, so 3 goes into 3 once and into 6
Twice.
2 times, and then I'm left with a 4. I'm going to distribute again. Lily, what can we cross-cancel?
The 2 and a 6.
And I'm left with a
1 and a 3.
1 and a 3. And my final new numerator there would be?
3x.
Plus 3x. That sign in the middle stays there. And now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to distribute here. And what gets cross-canceled? Jared? And what's left?
1.
Over?
Oh, in this case, x.
X. Right. And so, can I factor the numerator? Can I factor the denominator? So, if I can't factor, is there anything? Last step. Can I cross-cancel? No, because you can't take a piece of a binomial. And that's it. We've just simplified our superfraction or our complex rational expression. Yes?
So when we find the LCM, the least common multiple, would we have to find it for the numerator and the denominator?
Yes, it has to be all 3.
Okay.
Now you'll see when I do it with my PowerPoint, see how they don't put it over 1? But I'm getting a lot of kids lining that 6 up with the 3 and the 2. And that's not good math. So remember, we can't cross-cancel denominator to denominator. Okay, questions? You want me to go back?
Yeah, I was copying this one.
Okay, next step. Let's try this one. Let's do this one together. We said the first step is find the least common denominator of all 3. All 3. So I have here, here, and here. I have 3 denominators. So what is my least common denominator? Yes.
10x.
Okay, be careful. Let's rewrite this x. Is this a whole number or a fraction?
A fraction.
This is really x over 1. If it is not in fraction form, it is x, it is over 1. So now tell me, what is my least common denominator? 10. I'm multiplying everything by 10 over 1 over 10 over 1. I'm really only using that 1 as a place to keep myself lined up. So if you did 10 over 10, that would be okay, like I did on the right side. When you put that 1, just keeps you lined up. Try cross-canceling and simplifying. You guys trying it? Give you another minute. Shane, when I distribute to the first fraction, what gets cross-canceled?
The 2 and the 7.
2 goes into 2 once and into 10.
5 times.
And so what's left in that numerator? 5. Okay. When I distribute to the next one, somebody else, Victor.
You simplify, you cross cancel the 5 into a 1 and the 10 into 2.
And what's left? What's the rest of my numerator?
Plus 2x.
Plus 2x. All over. When I distribute to the next one, how about Jake?
5 goes into 10 2 times.
And into 5 once. And what's left?
8.
And when I distribute here, is there any cross-canceling, Jake?
No.
So what's left?
It would be negative 10x.
Minus 10x. Next step. Tyler?
You have to factor the denominator.
So we get 5 plus.
2x over 2 times the quantity of 4 minus 5x.
Okay. Last step. Cross cancel. Is there any cross canceling to do? So we are done. Okay. How you guys doing? Why don't you try the next one on your own? All right, so what am I doing? What's our least common denominator? Somebody I haven't heard from yet today. Okay, Grigor.
Y.
A y. So I'm multiplying y over 1, y over 1. I just kind of put it all over the place. You don't have to. You could write it only on one side as long as you're multiplying y every time. Okay, what can I cross cancel? How about David? In the first one, when I distribute, what am I left with?
Y.
A y. In the second part of the numerator, what am I?
1.
I'm cross canceling and I'm left with plus 1. In the third one, Victor?
You're left with 3.
3 because the y's cross cancel. And in the fourth part, what am I left with? Riley?
Negative y.
Negative y. Is there anything we can factor?
Nope.
Anything we can cross cancel? There we go. Okay? Even though when you're factoring in number 1, look at number 1 at the bottom. There's nothing we can do. If you don't factor, and you may miss your ability to cross cancel and simplify. Reduce it further. So you always want to factor it out to make sure there's nothing left. All right, what's our common denominator here? You guys want to try this one?
Yeah.
Okay, go. Remind me here, guys. What's the common denominator? 4y by everything. Whoopsie. What happened there?
Don't forget to start the recording.
I did. Thank you. Okay. I'm doing multiplying everything by 4y over 1, 4y over 1, 4y over 1. Now, 4y over 1. All right, when I distribute, What do I have? Kyle, first one.
After you distribute, you basically cross out 4y, so you're left with 1.
Good. The next one.
And then the next one, you cross out a 2 from that would equal 1, and then that would equal 2y.
Okay, and what's left?
Minus 2y.
Good. All over. No, somebody else. Nicholas.
Then wait,
When I distribute here,
it would be 2y.
okay, I'm left with a 2y. I'm left with a 2y. And when I distribute here, Ethan, bins,
Minus 1.
those cancel.
Yeah.
Minus 1. Okay, are we done?
No.
No. Clover?
A numerator, you can do -1 times the quantity of.
I can factor a -1 out, and then I'm left with, what does it do? It reverses it to 2y minus 1. All over 2y minus 1. I factored. Last step, please, Tyler.
Cross cancel, 2y minus 1.
And our answer is? Questions? Who didn't finish it? I bet a ton of you. Don't forget, if you see opposites, you got to factor out a -1. Yeah.
So just to clarify, when we did the previous problem, or like the first example of the 4 plus 3x over x, so you can't cross out the x's, but because of like in this problem, you can still
Where?
do
Even before this.
before this. You can't do for the 3x over the x. You can't.
I need to see it. I can't be thinking about these. I need to see
Okay.
this problem. What are you saying?
So you can't cross out the x's, but in the problem you just did, you can. Cross
Because this is a binomial here,
Okay.
and you can only cross out a 4 plus a 3x. If it's a monomial outside, then it could be cross-canceled. Monomial with monomial, binomial with binomial. Okay, so let's try one that's a little bit more complex. Okay, let's just look at this next one together before we move on. I want to do... Okay, so what's our least common denominator here? Shh. Least common denominator, please. Eric. A squared. So I'm multiplying everything by a squared. In the numerator, right, I'm going to be left with what when you cross cancel? 5a. In the denominator, right, because it's going to cancel here, and I'm left with an a. In the denominator, when I distribute here, what am I left with? A squared. And when I distribute here, I'm left with -3. Any factoring to do? Okay. What's the least common denominator on the next one? I might write this one down. Ariel?
AB.
Yep, AB. And AB. I don't really need to write it 4 times because I've already got it. Okay? So on the first one, when I distribute, we're left with just a 1. When I distribute this over here, what gets cross-canceled? The A only, and so I'm left with B over B. When I distribute here, what gets cross-canceled?
The B.
And so I'm left with -A. You with me?
Yep.
Because the next one's going to depend on it. Angelique, are you with me? Okay, now this one gets sneaky. I think it's the next one. All right, what's my least common denominator, people? Camilla?
Would it be xy times x minus y?
Yes. Notice I need an x, I need a y, and I need a binomial of x minus y. Here's the binomial. Here's where I need just the x, and here's where I need just the y. And here I need that. So it's xy times the quantity of x minus y. Okay? Now, again, remember, line it up so you can cross-cancel it. Over here, when I distribute, the x is going to get cross-canceled, so I'm left with y times x minus y. Minus, over here when I cross-cancel, the y's get cross-canceled. I'm left with x times x minus y. All over, these get cross-canceled, xy. Okay, now what? I did this really long earlier, and my kids found a faster way. Okay, Tyler, what do you think?
Cross cancel the x.
Not yet. You got to combine. Remember, you always got to combine the numerator, mix it all together. But I can either distribute this, right, and then factor. But what are we noticing? Nicholas?
You can zero out the x minus y binomial.
No. Ani?
You would do y minus x, the quantity of y minus x times the
Okay,
quantity of x
so I distributed, and then I found it looked almost like a perfect square trinomial, and then I factored it. But remember, this is almost like factor by grouping. It's x minus y times what's left, y minus x, right? All over xy. But look, isn't this I could factor out a -1, and I'm left with x minus y times -1 times another x minus y. You with me? Over xy. And then we could write that as, sorry, I'm going to go up here, x minus y squared times -1 all over xy. Did you understand my logic there?
So that's the most simplified.
It's just the most simplified. It's factored. Yeah.
And if you were to distribute, would you still end up with that answer?
Yeah, you would end up with xy. Let's do it here. Let me do it. I'd show you. It was here. Let's see if theirs looks a little bit. See, if you distribute, look at this. Right? From here.
Well,
Are you
factor by grouping.
shh. Okay. Combine once I distribute, combine my like terms. Watch up here. So if I distribute, combine like terms, xy and xy, it looks like a perfect square trinomial, except I have that lead coefficient, so factor out a negative. I did that. Now factor that. What does that come to? Perfect
yeah.
square minus,
X minus-
perfect square
X
and
minus
2
y, the
times.
quantity squared.
Yes, this is x minus y, the quantity of x minus y squared times -1. So you could do it either way, yes.
I think I did this wrong, that when I got y times the quantity of x minus y minus x times the quantity of x minus y, I just did negative x times y times the quantity of x minus y squared, and then cross-canceled the negative xy and xy, and then got the same answer.
I would have to see it. I can't hear the math and do it. I don't have that mental capacity. But do you see what we did? Instead of going to this and multiplying it all out, we factored by grouping, then factored a -1 out of the y minus x. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. This one, you just got to remember what makes up that denominator.
Yeah.
X plus 1, x minus 1. So I'm multiplying everything by x plus 1, x minus 1. Cross cancel, cross cancel. Cross cancel, cross cancel. And there's our ending. This is the big one. What is my least common denominator? First of all, what makes this up?
X plus 3, x minus.
And this is x plus 3, x plus 3. So I need, for least common denominator, Sachi?
X plus 3 times quantity, x plus 3 times quantity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need 2 of these and 1 of these. Exactly. 2 x plus 3,
Yeah.
okay, and we need 1 because we need to be able to cross cancel this here and this with one of those and this with this. Yes, Grigor.
Could you go back to number 7 for a second?
Okay, let's just finish watching these. So then this minus 3 will cross cancel here, and here I'm left with 1. Right? These will cross cancel here.
So you'll be 6 times the quantity.
Over here, this will be cross canceled, x plus 3, the quantity of x plus 3 squared, and we're left with 4 over. Now don't forget to simplify the 6 and the 4. Notice, I cannot do this, Ariel. I can't cross cancel the x's because they're in binomials. And those binomials do not look exactly the same. Okay, you said go back to which number?
7. Why can't you just... Oh, I didn't notice that word simplify. I was thinking in a different way, but I guess mine was correct too.
Okay, but what do you want to ask a question?
No.
There's not always one way to get there, but you have to simplify. Okay, that's the end of the lesson. Tonight's homework is 10-9, page 1010, page 470, 1 through 24 all.